Dopamine. Dopamine is our feel-good hormone, and in addition to making us feel happy, it increases our focus, our alertness, and even our motivation. Sounds pretty good, right? So what if you could get a shot of dopamine when you need it most, and in addition, get through a book or a favorite podcast, and improve your time management so that you're getting more of the things done that you need to?
And keep your household chores from interrupting your Saturdays, and keep your house clean. That doesn't sound like too much to ask, right?
Welcome to the Living Life Our Way podcast, a podcast dedicated to helping you live intentionally. Our goal is to take back control of our lives by living life on our terms. Join us as we work towards living life our way.
Welcome back. I'm Troy.
And I'm Jeff. And today we're going to start our podcast with a story of smartphones.
The smartphone is now a part of everyday life for most people, but it wasn't always like that. Back in the early 2000s, people instead would carry around a phone, carry around a personal digital assistant, a PDA. They may have a GPS device and an iPod or some other MP3 player for all their music.
Apple decided to enter the phone market, and instead of just producing a phone, they asked, what can I combine into this one device that might improve the quality of life and improve the utility of the device?
So the design process that they undertook wasn't to design a phone, it was to design a device that would respond to multiple needs. What that produced in the first iPhone was a device that had not only a phone, but it also included calendaring. It included an internet browser. It included maps. It included a camera. And you could listen to your music all on the same device.
So how does the story of the smartphone relate to keeping our house clean? Well, here's a little bit of a backstory about how this came to be.
So a little while ago, we decided as a family that we weren't going to pay someone to come and clean our house. That's something that we should be able to do on our own.
So we talked with my mom, who's been primarily responsible for keeping the house clean, and we suggested we come up with a system for cleaning our house. And at first, she was somewhat resistant. She liked the idea of just doing it all at once, just kind of not cleaning, and then on Saturday, just taking a couple hours and just knocking it all out. And for me, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's kind of how I went through college, is put off studying, then the night before the test, cram for an exam. But we kind of got to discussing, what if there's a better way? What if there's a way that, like studying, we do it a little bit every day rather than all at once at the end?
Part of Amy's resistance to having us design a plan for keeping the house clean related to the fact that we historically haven't been the best at cleaning a house. But she was open to the idea, especially when we explained that what we were trying to do is figure out a way to make it easier to keep the house clean while also accomplishing some of the other things that we wanted as part of our lives.
Yeah, so we've been working on this defined life XP framework, and it's kind of a way to develop these systems to accomplish what you need to, but also expand those into other areas of lives while also staying motivated to get what needs to get done.
And so how we started here is by looking at our MOLOs, or what we were wanting more of and less of in our lives, and how cleaning, keeping a house clean, fit into that broader range of MOLOs.
Here were some of our MOs, the things we want more of, and that's consistently having a clean house, an organized home, better time management, and kind of this sense of accomplishment of getting things done, that dopamine hit that moves us forward towards getting more things done.
And at the same time, there were some lows that we wanted, some things we wanted less of. We didn't want the feeling of chaos that not having a clean house or an orderly house has. We also wanted less dread relating to these big blocks of time that we had to dedicate to keeping the house clean, having Amy have to get after us to do it the right way and all of that. And then finally, we also wanted less of our weekends tied up with these large blocks of cleaning responsibilities. So with those MOs and lows, the MOLOs, we decided to take a look at ways that we might be able to design a cleaning system that fit as many of those, or took care of as many of those MOLOs as possible.
So what were the obstacles?
The first thing that we knew is that we had to clearly identify everything that needed to be done in the cleaning list. And it ended up being a lot longer list than we at first thought.
Yeah, kind of creating an itemized list does present some challenges. If you think about everything you want to get done in your house to keep it clean, it actually starts to get pretty overwhelming in terms of the sheer number of items.
The next obstacle was just carving out the amount of time that we needed to get it all done. Now, one thing we found that we thought was pretty funny and made us grateful that we weren't trying to clean our houses back in the 1960s was a study that was done that showed that the average American housewife, who at that point was primarily responsible for cleaning the house, spent 34.5 hours on average each week cleaning the house. That's a number that's hard for us to wrap our brain around, but it's helpful when you take a look at what all they were doing. So Mrs. Meyers, yes, Mrs. Meyers really is a real person who lived back in the 1960s, wrote a book about how to clean your house. And one of the items that she mentioned, amongst many that we found pretty funny, was that you should periodically vacuum your ceiling. I'm sure that it would lead to a cleaner house, but that's one of those things that didn't make our list.
Yeah, there's things like vacuuming your ceilings that, although in theory would improve the cleanliness of your house, the improvement would be so minuscule that it's not worth spending time doing those things.
Unless you want to vacuum your ceiling, in which case, have at it.
So the last obstacle we talked about is maintaining the motivation. So a lot of times when I start cleaning, if I'm saying I'm going to clean my whole room, I kind of peter out halfway through because I get distracted by a different task or get bored by just having to clean for a huge chunk of time.
So those were the obstacles that we were really trying to address. So the process of starting to build this cleaning system began with making that long list of all of the items that we need to get done. The next thing that we had to do that took a bit of time was deciding the frequency of those different tasks. So there were some things that would be done once a week, some things twice a week, some things twice a month, and other things once a month or even less frequently than that. So assigning a frequency to each one of those items was the next thing that we had to do.
Yeah. And then we kind of had to allocate resources. So our time, making sure that we didn't have days that ended up being really heavy on cleaning and corresponding days that were really light, but also kind of distributing the area of the house so that we're not trying to all be cleaning the kitchen at the same time, that someone's working in the kitchen while someone's working in the living room, as well as tools like the vacuum or a mop or broom where multiple people can't be using that at the same time. So splitting it up so that we're not stepping on each other's toes as we're trying to keep the house clean.
And then the one other thing is looking at who would do what. There are certain tasks that some people like. There's other tasks that people dread. For instance, I like vacuuming. I find it enjoyable and mindless activities, and I don't mind vacuuming the stairs. Other people really didn't like vacuuming the stairs, so it made sense for me to go ahead and add that to my list.
So the next step was figuring out when we were going to do it. And we decided to do it in the morning.
And that really worked out okay most mornings. The one thing that we did find is it did stretch our morning routine a little bit, which made it difficult on any days where we ended up sleeping in a little bit more than we planned. We really had a tough time getting everything done in the morning that we wanted to get done.
One thing we did like about having it in the morning is it kind of fit into the morning scaffold where it could kind of support some of our other habits. So when we kind of evaluated what time we wanted to do it, we actually decided it might be more effective to move it to the evening where we could stack some of our evening routine around that habit.
Because one thing that we found is we noticed that sometimes we weren't waking up on time because our evening routine was not as precise or not as defined as we would have liked. We ended up spending some time unintentionally in the evenings watching TV or whatever that had us going to bed later at night, which then led to us often getting up later in the morning. So we decided what we really needed to do is to refine our evening routine and thought cleaning would become a really great building block for refining that evening routine.
Yeah, so if we launched into our evening routine right after dinner where we did some planning, kind of plan for the next day, then did our cleaning, and then followed that with some yoga or meditation, something to kind of wind down for the evening, we found that it made it a lot easier to go to bed at a reasonable hour, which has made our mornings a lot more effective as well.
So there ended up being all these related benefits to designing a cleaning system that was intended to be more than just a cleaning system. Yes, the house gets clean, but there's so many other benefits that it contributes to the life that we really want to live.
Yeah, one other thing that I noticed is it's kind of helped with my perfectionism, where just taking 20 minutes, you can't get something too perfect in terms of the whole room. You can be perfect at the vacuuming, but there's still other elements of the room that get cleaned the next day. And so kind of pausing that, one, I'm getting something done, so I get that dopamine hit. But two, I'm not getting it all the way done. So I'm kind of combating a perfectionism, which is something that I've really wanted to have less of in my life. It's one of my lows.
There you go. So the question is, how has it worked? And so what we've been doing for the last 6 weeks is spending about 20 minutes per day, 5 days a week, cleaning the house. Well, I'd say the house is as clean as it's ever been. It feels like it takes you almost no time at all. You get it done so quickly. I'm listening to more podcasts and spending more time listening to books than I normally did because I'm using that time to listen to something that's interesting. And it's become this foundational piece to an evening routine that has allowed us to live more intentionally.
So our cleaning routine has been a huge success because it's so much more than a cleaning routine.
Yes, it's been easy to maintain because of all of the benefits it's providing in other areas of our lives.
So we've talked an awful lot about Define Life XP. People are probably wondering what that even is.
So Define Life XP is the framework that we're developing to clearly define what life you truly want to live, and then how to design the personal systems that allow you to make progress towards achieving that life.
Yeah, Define Life XP is all about velocity. Velocity is the combination of speed and direction. To achieve the life that we desire, direction is every bit as important as the speed at which we move. Define Life XP makes sure that we're not only moving, but moving in the right direction.
We are getting close to finishing the Define Life XP framework and tools. So subscribe so that you can stay updated and be part of the first group to get access.
Look forward to seeing you in the next one.